Most guitar players don't use walking bass. It's the bassist's job, they say, and well, they're not wrong. But the guitarist who masters it can come up with amazing guitar arrangements on his own, while creating a feeling of an entire band using the guitar alone. At the same time, you can gain more knowledge and insights about the fretboard. My name is Mor, and today I want to give you some tools that will help you start dealing with this amazing element. And at the end of the video, a special arrangement that will sum up everything. Let's go. I know what you think. I didn't sign up for this, I'm a guitarist, but trust this guy. The first thing you need to know is the triad notes and shapes. In almost every song, even in jazz songs, the triad chord is the most basic and important thing. When playing the guitar, as in many other cases, the shape of the triad is always the same, and we just need to be aware of its root. A basic position you need to know is this one: major, or minor, or and diminished, or. You can also do the same on the fifth string: major, minor, diminished. Here, you should also be aware that you can use the lower fifth as well. Cool! So let's build a walking bass for this chord progression right here, using the triad notes. So this is it: A minor, F major, G major, and E major. We're gonna start with the root at the beginning of every measure and use only the triad notes. With this simple step, you can get going and create wonderful things. But if you want to spice it up even more, we need to talk about the second thing you need to know, and that's seventh chords. Basically, a seventh chord contains 4 notes, the triad with a 7th note from the root. The distance in tone can vary between the different chord types, but at the moment we won't go into theoretical explanations and move immediately to the shapes. So, minor 7, major 7, dominant 7, and half diminished chord. Of course, there are more, but I picked the most used ones. Now, we're gonna upgrade our chord progression from before to A minor 7, F major 7, G7, and E7, and play a walking using the 7th chords. This is it. The next thing we need to talk about is chromatics. A chromatic note goes in half steps and can lead us in a cool way to our next target. In most cases, it will come as a link to the next measure or the next chord, although this is not necessarily always the case. For example, I could use chromatics for the chord progression we just played. Well, even though it sounds great now, we know that too many spices can ruin an entire meal. Sometimes we have to keep it simple, which leads me to the next important issue, and that's awareness for the scale. Scales help us filling the missing notes, like the 2nd, the 4th, the 6th, and of course create the movement we're interested in when we're playing walking bass. For example, here the scales are A minor most of the time. And when I play the E7 chord, it's harmonic minor or melodic minor. So now I'm going to use notes from the scale to demonstrate that option. I'm already on it. What about you? Okay, now that you understand the basics of walking bass, I want to talk about our fifth topic, which is taking care of the last beat of every measure. At the end of every measure, we move on to the next chord and want the transition to be as melodic as flowing as possible. You should follow these options for the last beat: a triad or seventh chord note, or an upper or lower chromatic neighbor, upper or lower diatonic neighbor, and what about a chord that lasts 2 bars? In this case, we would rather not repeat the root at the same octave so that our line doesn't sound dull. You can build your way and hit the fifth at the beginning of the next measure. For example, or again, hit the root, but in a different octave. Got it? I want to stop here for a second to tell you that I really appreciate you watching this video. I've been waiting to share my knowledge with others for a long time and create this content. It really means a lot to me, so thank you. Please click the subscribe button and don't forget to hit the bell so you don't miss anything. Now let's move on. As you probably understand, there are a lot of walking bass patterns that you can memorize and pull out whenever you want. I encourage you to write such patterns on your own, patterns that you love to play when you use walking bass. To give you a good starting point, I would love to show you some practical patterns that I use all the time. The first pattern is based on the triad and scale notes. The second pattern is based on the seventh chords. The third pattern is based on chromatic notes, and it depends on which chords you're going to. And of course, you can come up with hundreds of different patterns. So, on the one hand, patterns are a very convenient thing, but on the other hand, they can be too organized and boring. The last topic we need to talk about is creating diversity and combine all the techniques we've learned so far all the time. To sum up everything we've learned, I'll demonstrate a varied walking bass arrangement for the famous jazz standard All the Things You Are. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know in the comments if you'd like another lesson about this subject or another one, because there is so much more to learn. So, like I said, all the things you are. Goodbye.